Welcome to another edition of the Pilot's Advisor. And today it's a market update edition of the show because, Ryan, there's a lot happening out there in the market right now. And even though we're getting bad news, it seems like here on the left and the right, and a lot that we're trying to pull our attention away to different things, the market, at least for now, has been up and up and up despite some of that bad news swirling around. So I'm really interested in kind of what your read is on things.
Yeah, we're recording this on September 11th, so just a quick moment of silence for all those lost in that horrible tragedy. Obviously, we had an assassination yesterday too, which I don't even know what to say about that. Historically, August and September, the market historically has not had good months, and I feel like the last couple of days we're getting a little bit of traction. And I've been saying lately that it feels like the market's been in a little bit of a holding pattern. We have, job reports, we have all these other things that are going on, but it really hasn't been doing that much until the last day or two. And I really, really think next Wednesday is when they're supposed to cut rates. And I think that it's going to be significant, meaning if we get a 50% rate cut, I could really see the market taking off. If we don't, a 25% rate cut, I think the market will probably react a little bit and on the positive side. But I think if we do not get a rate cut at all next Wednesday, I could see the market reacting in a negative manner. So no matter what, I think the market's going to react. Obviously, I feel like the Fed's been very, very behind, and I think we are due a rate cut. But I really think that if I was to look at everything that's going on, next Wednesday is what we're really watching for. And I think if we get at 50% rate cut, I could really see things taking off a little bit.
Which is kind of amazing because, like you said, historically, September and October aren't the best of months. And so a lot of people get very wary during this time of year. And I think the early success in the month has made people even more wary that this is just like a little bit of an up before the rug gets pulled out from underneath us. So I'm sure a lot of people are a bit worried and hesitant about, trying to read this whole thing.
Well, markets are completely unpredictable. And if you look at this year, there was massive pain back in February and March, and everybody's kind of forgot about that. And so anytime things get bad, I constantly remind myself that this too shall pass. And, that's the markets are all over the place all the time. The news affects the markets. And I think that that's why investors have such a hard time getting good returns over the long term, because they make those short term emotional decisions based off of what's going on in the market. And you have to be unemotional. You have to play the long-term game. I'm very long-term bullish. I've been saying this for a while. Even the tariffs, I felt like it was a short-term pain for a long-term gain for our country. And I still believe that. Not all those deals have been inked, and we still don't have a clear direction of what the long-term looks like. But obviously, evening the playing field globally with trading is actually going to help us long-term. And then with AI, artificial intelligence, the money that's being dumped in tech right now, I think is going to really have a positive impact on those that can get in the market. I really think that I'm so bullish. I believe the market could double in the next 5 years. I think it's going to be that big of a growth. Now, I don't think it's good for the American worker. I think if you're in a job that can easily be replaced, you should really be thinking about that, because artificial intelligence and robotics, I think, is going to be a real thing. It's coming. And I think just in general, we look at how people are using Chat GPT and other AI type stuff for day-to-day activities, work, scheduling, all kinds of things. What are you seeing on your end, Walter?
Oh, absolutely. It's a daily part of life for me. Sometimes using it as a support staff writer, sometimes using AI as a brainstorming partner, right? What do you think of this idea? How about if I tweak it this way? Absolutely. It was pretty funny. I had a friend the other day send me a song, and the song was all about him and his garage. And I was like, where did you get this? How did you create this? And he's like, took 5 minutes, AI. I gave it some details, and it made a song for me. It was pretty easy. And I'm like, it's just incredible. We had a baby shower recently, Ryan, and you know how you do games at baby showers and things like that. Ours was sort of a family reunion / baby shower. So we did some games, and one of the games was like baby prices right. And so, me being, an announcer and probably, at one time in my life, a dream to be the host of The Price is Right. I had some fun with it, but I had ChatGPT write me a great script of all these baby products, but written in that, kind of fancy Price is Right way. This little booger remover is created by the Oogie Bear folks, and you'll never have to worry about wax again when you apply the. It wrote this great little script that sounded like Bob Barker himself. So every day you're dabbling with it and using it.
Well, it's extremely powerful, and of course, I don't think that I'm using it enough for day-to-day activities within the business. It's actually a big compliance thing right now because the SEC does not want you using artificial intelligence for anything on the investing side. And I think it goes back to that there's so much that you can grasp from artificial intelligence, but you got to fact check it. Really, really have to fact check it. And of course, it comes back to not speculating and gambling with people's money. However, for simple things like making a schedule or proofreading something, if I was a kid, man, I'd be trying to figure out how to use it for everything in my day-to-day life because that's the way it's going to be.
Attention aviators, when you've spent years in the cockpit managing the complexities of flight, isn't it time you navigated your retirement with the same precision? Introducing RetirePilots.com. Right at your touchdown zone on our homepage, there's a beacon flashing, "Get my free toolkit." Click that and you'll be cleared for a direct route to Ryan's Retirement Toolkit, tailor-made for pilots like you. Inside, you'll find two of his important works, The Pilot's Advisor and Pilots Retire Early. Between these two books, you can decipher the 9 critical decisions when retiring before 65 and discover the 7 lessons to help pilots land safely in retirement. But that's not all. This toolkit is packed with altitude-high value, including extras to get your retirement plans off the runway and light the afterburners on your 401k. Vector on over to retirepilots.com to grab your toolkit, and let's embark on this journey together.
I saw a video the other day where a professor was addressing his class, and he says, "I've been teaching this class for 30 years. Here's the grade distribution of that 30 years of data, right? How many people get D's and C's and B's and A's, and very clear bell curve, like very tough grader, bell curve at the C." He said 90% of you got an A on the test. He's like, "Explain it to me." And somebody raised their hand and was like, "We were using an AI that blah, blah, blah." And everybody in the class was like, "Oh, be quiet.
You idiot."
But I mean, to your example, absolutely, they're going to be crafty and trying to use it in those ways.
Well, and then it's getting probably harder and harder to find out and see if they're actually using it because you can use AI now and make sure that this doesn't flag when you get fact checked for AI.
Right.
These college classes. But no, my brother-in-law writes music now with it. I have a good buddy that, we at first thought he was just like the most inventive, amazing person sending out all these memes and everything else. And of course, now that everybody's using AI day to day, we're like, I get it. I know exactly what he's doing now.
He was just ahead of the bell curve on it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be interesting to watch. Obviously, that's a long-term view kind of thing, although maybe shorter term than we think with how fast that growth is happening. My question for you, Ryan, is, I'm getting close to 40. So let's say I'm a 40-year-old pilot. Do I approach next week's news and the rest of the year, investing-wise, differently than someone who is a 60-plus-year-old pilot? How would you advise the two differently over this next couple of months?
Well, I don't really think that your age matters so much as people think it does from the standpoint of, I talk about it all the time. Like people think they get to a certain age and they need to really change how they're investing their money when it really has everything to do with your time horizon for that money. Are you retiring in 5 years or are you not? Or do you need, all that money that's in your 401k? Because that's going to determine how your money's invested, what allocation it has. And you have some safe money assets to handle sequence of returns risk. These are all things that we've talked about in prior episodes. But yes, in general, should a 40-year-old's outlook be different than a 60-year-old's? In general, it probably should. They're definitely thinking about different things. When you get to be closer to retirement, you really start thinking a lot more about the legacy planning aspect. But I think that time in the market is always the biggest factor. even with a market pullback for the 40-year-old, I mean, they should look at that as a massive opportunity. I know it gets a little bit scarier if you're close to retirement and we have a 20% drop in the market. But for somebody that's in their 40s, I think it's just a massive opportunity to continue buying while things are low. You're not using your retirement assets anytime soon. So buying more while things are down, like we all know to buy low, but you should be taking advantage of that. And I think regardless of what happens next week, forced discipline is what I call it. And I think it is so, so powerful. Those people that set up automatic investing, which is dollar cost averaging every single month, I think most people are pretty good at doing that in their 401k, but those that do that outside their 401k in a taxable investment account, and I always say, I don't care if it's $50 or $5,000, but somebody that sets up that automated forced discipline, automatic investing every single month end up light years ahead of those that don't. And I highly recommend, if you don't have a systematic way of investing your money like that you should definitely look into it and set something up. No different than setting it up and all of a sudden you go, wow, where did this $100,000 come from? The same thing happens when people turn it off. If they turn off, I got a couple of hard months. Next thing you know, it's been a year and a half and they haven't put any other money in. And I guess I get to see the reward for doing it or the massive missed opportunity for not doing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And we want to see it one way, not the other. That's for sure.
Well, exactly. And we all want choices in retirement. We want to be able to do the things that we want to do. But unfortunately, it takes discipline. It takes a lot of discipline. And I love seeing younger pilots that are disciplined and put money away versus the ones that come to me and they're 56 and they're like, yeah, I got $200,000 to my name. And I'm like, what have you been doing? Where have you been? Because it's definitely a whole different ball game once you're that far in to your working years and you just haven't probably saved for the most important thing in your life.
Yeah. Any other guidance that you have for us, Ryan, on this market update edition of the episode? Anything else we should keep an eye out for?
No, I don't think so. I appreciate you talking about today's market. Let's get that out there. Once again, remembrance of 9/11, and then let's watch for hopefully a large rate cut next Wednesday, and then let's see how that affects mortgages in the real estate market. And I think we'll finish up this year of 2025 on a positive note.
Definitely feels like a rock sitting on top of a point, and it's going to tilt one way or the other. It feels like we're heading for that day rather than just sort of this stagnant approach. So we will see. If you want to get in touch with Ryan and talk a little bit more about specifics of your financial plan, obviously we'll talk about some of the generalities here on the show. But if you want to get into the specifics, it's very easy to do that. All you have to do is go to retirepilots.com and order the Retirement Rescue Toolkit specifically for pilots. It's packed with lots of great information. It's going to include Ryan's books in there as well. So you're going to get a lot of resources at your disposal. And best part, you'll also qualify for a free portfolio analysis. So in addition to being able to kind of learn a little bit about Ryan, the team, and investing as a whole, you'll be able to get that analysis of your portfolio, find out where you stand now, where you need to go into the future. But it all starts with ordering that toolkit. And again, you can find that at retirepilots.com. We've got a link in the description that'll take you right to where you put in your information for the toolkit. It's free, so check that out and get some help with your finances, with retirement planning, specifically information built for pilots. All right, Ryan, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Walter, as always.
We'll see everybody next time right back here on The Pilot's Advisor. Take care.
Information is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute tax, investment, or legal advice. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action.